Hi, it's Red Recapped here. Today I'm going to describe a movie called Death Sentence, which was released in 2007. There are some spoilers ahead. Let's start the movie without further ado. Nick and Helen are living a happy life along with their two sons. The elder boy, Brendan, loves playing hockey, while the latter, Lucas, is more emotional and is into art. Brendan improves his skills at hockey as time passes by. He was even awarded as the best hockey player of the high school team, causing his family to be proud of him. Nick Hume is a businessman who lives in North Carolina. His family life is still warm and happy. However, Lucas and Brendan have some trash talk. But it's just of their age and differences. They are intimate and adore each other after all. Brendan has now become a professional ice hockey player, playing in the NHL. He has a game ahead later in the night. Nick drives him to the game. Every score Brendan makes on the rink sends an overjoyed Nick flying off. On the way back home, Brendan reveals his plan to move to Canada to take his hockey to a whole new level. Nick totally agrees, trusting his son's skills and willpower. They were driving in a high-crime neighborhood. Two cars started swerving at high speed near them, which really scared them. Their cars run out of fuel, so they pull over at a gas station. Brendan goes to a store to get some drink while Nick gets the chance to inform his wife about Brendan's plans for his future. Thugs in the car show up to burglarize the store. They instantly shot the owner to death. The gangsters have a simple rule: every newcomer must kill a random guy to join. Unfortunately, the random guy is Brendan. The new gang member is hesitant and petrified, but he eventually slices Brendan's throat with a machete, ordered by the leader. Nick gets traumatic observing this. He ambushes the attacker while the rest of the gang escapes, knocking him down to putting off his mask. The boy manages to flee, only to get hit by a car. Nick rushes to his son, taking him to the hospital. The whole family arrives there to realize the fact that Brendan is dead. No words could express how they feel. The next day, at a police lineup, Nick identifies the killer, a 23-year-old boy named Joe. The funeral is held on a rainy, gloomy day, but their grief doesn't seem to be subsided so soon. The parents have a hard time sleeping. Brendan's footage plays all day long and Lucas bursts into crying every time he reminisces about Brendan when he was alive. Before paying a visit to the police, Helen asks Nick to do something so that the killer gets life in prison. The following day, Nick visits Detective Wallace and the district attorney. Nick gets enraged when the district attorney tells him that the defense will cut a deal for a light sentence, since there wasn't enough evidence to take the case to trial. Furthermore, the gas station security camera had been broken, hence there was no record. When Nick learns that Brendan has been killed as an entry fee for Joe to join a stupid gang, he gets pissed off even more. At the pretrial hearing, he is asked by the judge to testify about Joe as Brendan's killer. But he surprisingly refuses, deducing that as it had been dark, he was unable to observe the killer's face. It makes everyone dumbfounded and the judge dismisses the case. As a result, Joe is released from custody. Joe walks off into the courtyard and fires his cigarette reluctant. Just then, the gang arrives, starts praising him and welcomes him to the gang. Even Billy, the gangster leader, says,
"I'm proud of you. Who's your man now?"
Nick is spying on them and starts chasing after their cars. Joe is given a prize, a prostitute, to have fun with. He's also provided with a fistful of cash by Billy. Disappointed by the law, later that night, Nick can be seen looking for a weapon. He reveals to his family that the boy has been released for lacking evidence. He pretends to leave something at the office and goes to Joe. When Joe comes out of the place, he's surprised to see Nick in front of him. In a fit of rage, Nick attacks him, and a fight forms between them. While they fight for survival, it ends up with the knife stabbing Joe's body accidentally. Nick witnesses Joe in his own bloodbath. He drives somewhere afar and tosses the bloody knife away. When he returns home, upon seeing his injured hand, Helen gets upset and provides him with a bandage. They burst into crying. However, Nick is currently a killer as well as a victim. Elsewhere, Billy pays a visit to Bones, his superior, who the whole gang works for. Billy hands him over the gas station robbery money. Bones chastises him for the cash is low and dismisses him. Billy arrives at the hideout, where his men cook meth and is the main base of the gang. One of his men, Bodie, breaks the news to him that Joe had died. He gets shocked and enraged. In the office, Detective Wallace shows up and informs Nick that his son's killer is dead, while he is intrigued by his hand's bandage, assumes he is linked to a retaliation. Elsewhere at their hangout bar, the gang can be seen drinking up to Joe, believing that he was like a good soldier. Just then, Billy arrives and berates them for showing no respect to Joe. Back to business, they go over the rival gangs who might kill Joe. Until one of the gang members reveals to them his sister saw a man in a suit the night Joe was killed. She confirms that it is Nick in a newspaper photo. Elsewhere in the street, Nick re-bandages his hands and is totally oblivious that the gang member Bodhi is after him, while Billy keeps an eye on him from a distance. Just before Nick gets shot by Bodhi, he manages to disarm him, using his suitcase. Seeing this, Billy and his men start shooting around in the middle of the crowded street, making everyone petrified. Nick runs into a narrow alley while a number of gangsters also spill into it from every other side. Billy takes every opportunity to shoot Nick, making him to give up his suitcase to run faster to survive. Billy shouts in anger, like a bloodthirst vampire, as if he had lost his brother to this man. He enters a building while the gang chases after him like crazy. He ends up arriving in a parking lot and randomly triggers several car alarms to confuse the gang. Nick reaches the top floor where he is chased by gang members. Fighting for his life, Nick gets trapped in a car with one of the thugs. When the car moves backwards, it drives across the multi-story car park. Nick runs away just in time, but the latter plummets to his death. Following this, Nick gets a call from his wife and finds that Lucas has disappeared. Elsewhere, Detective Wallace arrives at the crime scene. She finds the victim from the same gang as Joe. It's quite clear Nick is behind it. Nick finds Lucas, where Brendan was killed. Lucas is so devastated and berates his father, who always cares only about Brendan and totally ignores Lucas and his feelings. Nick starts arguing to take him home as it's a dangerous place to stay. Lucas is eventually brought home safe and sound. Helen hugs Lucas and begs him to never leave home like that again. The following day, Bodhi shows up at Nick's office to hand him back the suitcase he dropped during the chase. Bodhi also threatens, "You have the right to know how you're dying," before the security escorts him out. Opening the suitcase, Nick finds a family photo. The photo implies that the gangster plans to kill all his family, but not him. Nick gets agitated and calls a number found in the case, which belongs to Billy. Billy warns that Nick has bought a death sentence for his own family.
You listen to me. You go near my family, and I will cut out your goddamn guts like I did your fucking friend. Do you hear me?
He wasn't my friend. He was my brother.
Wasting no time, Nick rings home, warning his wife and Lucas to stay in. Then he calls Detective, briefing her in anxious and requesting backup forces. On returning home, he locks up all the windows around the house, leaves everyone baffled and in a panic. Shortly after, Detective Wallace arrives and reminds Nick that he's the one who has started retaliation, jeopardizing his own family life. The detective asks him to confess to murder, since the officers are about to protect his family anyway. But he refuses. Later that night, when the whole family is asleep, Nick is awakened by a car alarm outside. He notices that the two officers have been brutally killed. In the blink of an eye, he finds the gangsters in the house. Nick manages to survive and dodges several gunfire one after another, and also causes one of them to get shot, and harms a few of them severely. But these all end when his family is taken captive by the gang. Billy mercilessly shoots Helen, Lucas, and Nick, in no time. A few days later, Nick is recovering in the hospital. He considers himself guilty of Lucas and Helen dying. It's revealed that Helen is dead, but Lucas is still alive. Knowing this, he rushes to him, finding his beloved son in a coma. He apologizes to Lucas that he's never been a good father. The detective is surprised to notice Nick escaped through the window. Nick arrives at home, which is now a crime scene. The next day, he heads to the bank to empty the family bank account as there is no family anymore, making it cash. He then finds the gang's hangout place with his co-workers' help. He heads for the cafe, asks the bartender about the gang, indicates him a huge amount of cash. The latter ignores him and even insults him. In a fit of rage, Nick starts beating him up as well as a guy in the next seat while he was trying to intervene. It ends up getting Billy's whereabouts and also Bones' address to provide some weapons. He arrives at Bones' place. Initially, Bones shows no interest, but he soon changes his mind. Seeing Nick's bag full of cash, Nick takes several weapons, both a shotgun and a handgun with tons of bullets. Before leaving, Bones reveals that Billy and Joe are his sons and he already knows Nick is planning to kill Billy. Bones assures him he cannot cause him any hurt. As a result, Bones allows Nick to walk away without a fight. He returns home to check the guns and works with them to get used to them. He then shaves his injured head. Following this, he goes to Brendan's stuff only to find the jacket he wore the day he died, and puts it on. He heads for the gang's place. He manages to find the place down the hallway. Nick smashes the door using the shotgun, freaking out the gangster inside. The gangster is left dumbfounded, thinking that Nick must have been dead. Nick dismisses the other girl and points him a gun in the neck. Nick manages to get Billy's place. He then instructs the man to ring Billy. Billy miraculously realizes that Nick is still alive. The gunfire also alarms him that his man is dead. Bone and his elder son meet up. Bone warns Billy that things are getting out of control and instructs Billy to stop fighting Nick. Instead, Billy ruthlessly shoots his dad to death. On the other hand, Nick breaks through the hideout's entrance to kill one of the gangsters in the car, before giving him the chance to reload his gun or even flee. Then he steps into the building. Although he almost got killed a few times, he ends up killing all the gang one by one, until only Billy is left. He approaches Nick thinking he's out of weapons and sarcastically reminds him,
Look at you. You look like one of us.
but when Nick pulls out another weapon from his pocket, Billy's eyes get teary. Nick kills him and heads back home. He starts watching the same old family video and awaits his inevitable arrest. Detective Wallace arrives and informs him that Lucas has started moving. She is also afraid that Lucas will be a gangster like in Nick's final days, because he will be a 14-year-old who has nobody to lean on. Besides the overwhelming trauma he had gone through. But Nick feels the misery much deeper. That's all from the video. Thanks for watching.